Well, in July 2014, I found a lump in my right breast, and I had been checking myself anyway because I was a beauty therapist and had a phobia about getting cancer. So I was regularly checking myself anyway. And so I knew that it hadn't been there beforehand. And so that was on the Saturday night, and then I went to the doctor straight away on the Monday, and he thought that it was a hormonal lump, which in the majority of cases it is. And I had to go away and wait to cycle and then come back again. And I had a few friends that were nurses, and they just said, well, just get in the system and, and just ask to be referred. So I did phone up on the Wednesday, and he did refer me. And a month later I had a ultrasound and a mammogram, and they told me instantly that they knew that I had something called DCIS, which is the precancerous cells, and that there was a tumour, I think it was about 2 centimetres, might have been 1 centimetre. And but because of the DCIS, it was the majority of the time you don't have to have chemo. So as much as it was devastating, it was almost like, right, as long as I don't have to have chemo, then I can deal with this. This is fine, So we actually had a holiday booked 3 days later, which my consultant had said it would, by the time the results came through of the biopsy, we might as well go away on holiday. So we went away to Slovakia, which was obviously, as you can imagine, a bit of a strange holiday. And it was about our second or third day in that we found out the severity of it. And it was called, the type of cancer I had, it was called HER2. I was HER2 positive. And that's a protein that speeds up the cancer cells. I was also estrogen positive as well, so obviously my hormones were speeding up as well. So, and then they said because of my age and the type of cancer it was, that they would throw everything at me. So that's when I found out that I had to have chemo. Then again, throughout the holiday, the Exeter team, so I was based in Barnstaple, but the Exeter team were the top guns, and they were the guys deciding what my course of treatment would be. And once they got involved, they switched my treatment. So because of the severity of it, they beforehand I was going to have surgery, then chemo, then radiotherapy. But because they didn't want to take any chance of it spreading, I had chemo first, then surgery, then radiotherapy. So September 2014, I started chemotherapy. But as you can imagine, I became really passionate about telling my friends and my sisters, I'm really close to my sisters, that the importance of self-examination, because that's been a really hard thing to get my head around, is the fact that if I hadn't been checking myself, what would have happened, where I would be even now. And so that's taken me a long time to to digest and to be able to get your head around the what ifs, I think. So that's when the Check Yourself, Don't Wreck Yourself campaign came about, and it started off as a Facebook page. I didn't want it as my personal page because I didn't want to force people to have to read about everything. So we thought if I made up a page, then people could choose if they wanted to follow it, rather than, I don't like the thought of people, ramming it down people's throats, and if they were like, God, she's going on about cancer again. So and it was purely to set up so that my friends could know what was happening, but without me having to respond to them in texts all the time. I didn't know how quickly it would take off, and obviously they shared it, and then it just, and then I was having messages from people worldwide that were saying that they had been through the same, or they were, just behind me, and I'm a really honest person anyway. I don't, what you see is what you get, and so I would tell the stories about, like, when my pubes fell out and things like that, because it wasn't something that people don't talk about these things, and so therefore I found it something that needed to be talked about, and that if it sort of made people less scared. So there's a process when chemo starts of things falling out and symptoms that, although people get different symptoms, in general it's all kind of the same, and the psychological side of things is, tends to be fairly textbook. And then so the blog really took off, and then my parents owned a shop in Barnstaple, and with that, a lady who worked there had seen in Plymouth a tree that had bras hanging from it, and so she was like, why don't we hang it from your mum and dad's shop, because there was scaffolding, and so that took off, and that was called Sling It for a Quid. So people donated £1 and a bra or a pair of pants, and we hung it up on the scaffolding. And again, being in North Devon, everyone really rallies round, and it was amazing. And I think by the end we had, and again they came from worldwide as well. We had lots of it that donated from France and Australia and things, and so we had about 1,600 covering mum and dad's shop, and that was really cool. And then the blog continued. My local paper asked if I would write a column for the paper, so I still write a column for the paper about everything, and then it became a point where me and my sisters were laughing about the things, and said, well, it really needs a song, it needs a rap, like, 'cause my Facebook page, it looks like graffiti, the logo, and so we decided to do a flash mob, and then that was when the campaign really took off. And so we got my daughter's ballet school to choreograph the dance moves, and the people in the flash mob, they are the dance school, but there was about 40 of us that did it, and they're all friends. There was my chemo nurses there. It was amazing. It was really cool, and that happened during cycle 3 and cycle 4, and so that really took off. And then before I knew it, I had people in Australia, breast cancer charities in Australia, that asked if they could have the song and then mimic it. So 2 charities in Australia have recreated it in Australia. There's a Canadian one that's amazing, and they that flash mob was brilliant, and Spain and Ireland. And the idea at the time, these all kept me going throughout chemotherapy. Like, it was just like a job really, and I was just focusing on where the campaign was going next. But it was something that I'd love to get loads of different countries doing their own version, but obviously with the same tune, and then having a big sort of montage of all of it at the end. But and then oh crikey! And then I finished chemotherapy and in December, and then I had to have surgery. That went better than I expected, because being 34 and knowing you're going to lose your boob is hard, to say the least. But I think, the reconstruction is so good that I'm lucky. I'm really lucky, and so it's made it a lot less stressful. And that's in Exeter. My surgeon's incredible. Anyway, so that's and I think that the whole way through, my husband has been my rock, and he's such a positive guy. And the whole way through, like the same, losing my hair, losing my boob. As long as I survive, then my hair it's a bit wild, but it's coming back, and it doesn't matter if you've got no boob. It doesn't matter as long as my kids have their mum. It doesn't matter. Anyway,
You've obviously got a really wicked sense of humour. Have you always had that, or is that something that's really developed from going through all of what you've been through?
No, we're quite a sick family. I think we've always been people that can. I have to laugh. It's so. If I didn't laugh, it's so tragic that you have to. I mean, when I was having surgery, I texted my husband and I said to him, I was just like, is it wrong that I'm having fun in the ward? And it was because there was all ladies there, and it was written. One of my close friends who I've made friends throughout this was actually in the next bed to me, and so it was amazing how having the support that I've had is amazing. And but yeah, it has to be like it has. Yeah. I think it's such a hard thing to get your head around having cancer, and I've had to stay as normal as I can for my kids. Yeah. So because they were obviously so little, and even in a cycle, there was only probably a day or two that I didn't put the kids to bed, because as soon as I didn't,
they were sort of thinking. Yeah.
That's when Billy, particularly my eldest, would be like, he became quite withdrawn.
Yeah.
And that really affected him and it was it's so silly, isn't it? Just bedtimes, but it mattered a lot to him. And I think it's my kids, that's what gets me going. Anyway,
so a message for if there's other people sort of obviously watching your interview,
it has to be
watching
check
this,
yourself.
It's the message.
And go to the doctors, and that's what the whole campaign is about. It's about self-checking, knowing what's normal, because you know different times of the month your boobs are different and things like that, and the same with balls as well. You know, this campaign's not just about breast cancer. It's trying to encourage men to do it too, but I don't know about that, funny enough. And so I think it is, and also it is going to the doctors. It's not hanging about, because it's not going to go away. And the earlier you diagnose something, then the easier it is to treat. And I mean, I thought the whole way through I didn't think it'd gone to my lymph nodes, but then after surgery, it was, even after chemo, it was still in my lymph nodes. And then radiotherapy was a doddle, because it was just the travelling from Barnstaple to Exeter every day. And then we did our big auction where we got celebrities to sign all their undies, and we raised and that was this November. Brilliant. And so we raised, the night raised at 18,000, so that was really cool. And I've got to speak to Ed Sheeran's mum, which is also a bonus. Slightly thought he was going to turn up. I was slightly disappointed on the night, because I was like, Ed, where are you? But he didn't. Ed, yeah.
Heather, I mean, you know, you've got a really bubbly personality. You've obviously approached your diagnosis and everything that's followed it your way. But, you know, was there ever a point at which you were really, really low, obviously, and think, you know, I'm going to die, I'm going to leave my kids? What would you
all the time
say to somebody that has just been maybe diagnosed or has had a double mastectomy, who's panicking? You know, what kind of inspires you? Because you have done all this stuff, which is absolutely amazing. But for others, they're not able to do it.
No. Well, I think you I mean, you know, obviously, like I can laugh and stuff, but you have dark days, and I think that and they can hit you. You can just be thinking you're doing okay, and then all of a sudden you don't know why it hits you, but all of a sudden you just find yourself, you know, crying. And I'm not you know, I'm not robotic. I'm quite good at expressing, like, so when I feel bad, then I can easily just say to Tristan or friends and stuff, like, I'm on a really bad day, and I tend to hermetise myself as well. Talking is just, it's talking to people that are going through it. It's just, we've got an amazing North Devon younger persons group, and as soon as you put out there, I'm having a really, really bad day and this is how I'm feeling, and you can guarantee that someone was like, no, I felt exactly the same, you know. And people think that after, you feel so safe throughout treatment because you're being treated and you're in the system, you're being, you know, you're in hospital and you've got the professionals around you. And as soon as, for some people, I mean, I class myself lucky that I've only just finished treatment and I've been having more. I had to have a drug called Herceptin until this November, just gone. And as much as some people are like, that's a long slog, you're like, no, I'll have that, I'll take that, because it meant that I was still there, and it still meant every 3 weeks I'm going back for more treatment, and you feel safe. When you stop radiotherapy, for some people they don't have that drug, and you kind of left. You really are left alone, and you I'm sure different areas are different, but you are kind of like, right, well, good luck, see you later, and you're pushed out the door. And to be honest with you, that's when people need the support.
Yeah.
Yes, you need practical support throughout treatment, but the psychological support is needed at the end of treatment, and that's what I want to change.
The other thing that I thought about this last night, particularly with breast cancer, is this link between the fact that they are beautiful. These are kind of seen by some as our assets, our femininity. We feed our children or not. How did it feel to kind of have that link between being beautiful as a woman and then having cancer and then having a breast? Because that's really what we're talking about. Is you know, what is it to be beautiful? Do you need to have breasts and a certain hair and all you've been through? What would you say to someone that is really struggling with that?
I've never really liked my body, but my boobs were something that was like, yeah, they're all right kind of thing. So it's hard. I think your femininity the whole way through is put under testing, because you don't know what the shape of your head is going to look like. So when you lose your hair, it's part and parcel of, you know, you're going to lose your hair. Some people find that really tough. Again, I was lucky that Tristan kept saying to me, it doesn't matter. And I talked not out loud, in my head. I would constantly be like, it doesn't matter, this is magic medicine.
But we live in this world under constant pressure to wear certain clothing, to have a certain look, and lingerie, you know, and have you had lots of support with that shift to having one breast?
I haven't. I mean, I was
in terms of fashion and the word, you know, do they say to you, look, actually, we can help you choose clothes or fashion?
No, I haven't had anything like that. I've had, there is a bra department in it. We've got a department store in Barnstaple, and they do help you fit bras, which very few people know about. So that's something that I've really, you know, I published on my blog, because I was like, people just don't, you know, and I don't have a prosthetic boob, so mine is, I'd psyched myself up. I'm okay if I've got time to process something. So I'd convinced myself that having just a mastectomy was the right plan, and that was the best thing for me. Then 10 days before surgery, they were like, well, you can have immediate reconstruction. And I was like, no. My plan is mastectomy. That's what I've got my head around. I don't want any more, you know, spanners being thrown in. And then my mum was like, well, Heather, you'll feel so much better if you wake up with a boob. And actually it was the best decision I made. But some people don't, and
but they're still
and
beautiful.
they're still
and
actually, do you know what? People that go through different challenges in life, cancer being one of them, and obviously that's what I'm going to talk about. People are phenomenal for just even fighting it, and I think if you can build that confidence, because what you have overcome, you know, losing a boob in the grand scheme of things, it is. I say it's small. It's not small because it's your body, and I don't look at my boob very often. Even when I'm in the shower, I don't have a nipple, so it still looks different from my other one, but.
Do you feel
I still feel proud.
Do you feel any less beautiful?
Yeah, I don't feel beautiful.
So when you go out with, I'm sorry, but I think it's important that people that have this understand that it does change how you view yourself, how pretty you are, or what clothing you choose. And so you go into shops and places, you know, as a friend or as with people, what would you say to them? You know, is it right to go out shopping and try it all on, or do you just?
Well, yeah. Well, I think it's
how
just.
can you help someone?
I think it's all about confidence.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean,
And that's
I
what
lost
we
my
want to
eyelashes.
help. We want to help. That's
Yeah.
what Beauty Insight.
That's what this is
Eyelashes
about.
were a massive thing for me.
Right.
I know it
It
sounds,
is.
but I had such long eyelashes before I became
Right.
poorly.
Yeah.
Losing my hair didn't actually.
Because that's the interesting
Lose-
thing, isn't it? That you can feel this that feeling
Thanks, Dad.
over your eyelashes, but maybe not necessarily over your boob. You know,
Yeah,
you can,
and
it's what
I
you
mean,
can cope with, isn't it?
I don't feel, and obviously my hair, you know, I mean, it's when my hair started growing back, I was more paranoid when it was really short than it was because I didn't look poorly anymore, but yet I didn't look.
Have a hairstyle.
I didn't have a hairstyle, so it looked like I'd chosen to give myself a shaved head.
Yeah.
And so I'd find myself if I was talking to a stranger, slipping in, well, I've been poorly, because I didn't want them to.
Is
It
that
was
really your haircut?
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
didn't want
Yeah.
exactly, and it sounds so silly, and that sounds almost so arrogant, but it was
you
something
still care about how you look.
massively,
Yeah,
because
and I think that's the key.
and you
isn't
put on so much weight with.
it? Lose it.
And then you know, so but then you have to keep. That's why when I'm in, that's me in a dark day. Then you see your kids, or you know, and then all of a sudden you sit and you think, you know what?
shouldn't
I put on a stone and a half because of steroids, and you know, I'm
But
still
they're
on.
not seeing that, are they? They're seeing their mum.
Yeah,
or
exactly. They don't. Yeah, my kids don't. I mean, me growing my hair back was their. That was their turning point for knowing that I was getting better, because they asked me when, you know, we said that magic medicine was going to make me lose my hair. When are you going to get better?
That's
when mum's hair
very
grows back.
common, isn't it, with
Yeah,
children,
yeah,
that they
yeah.
relate to their hair, and then the hair comes
Yeah.
out, oh, they're well.
Yeah, and so even when it was fluffy, funnily enough, on my Facebook page today, I was boasting a year ago my hair was coming back. Well, I mean, it really wasn't, but you can see a very a little bit of fluff, and I was really proud of that. I was like, look at me, I brushed my hair, and
Side part.
and I mean, I just look completely bold to anyone else, but that was enough for me to be able to say to the children,
Yeah.
"Mummy's
It's
getting
coming
better.
back,
Mummy's
yeah.
getting better."
A turning point.
It was a turning point, and I think that it's funny because I'm a bit of I could easily help somebody else. It's harder for me to say things about myself than it is for me to say to somebody else. Do you know what? It doesn't. Those sort of things don't matter. So I talk to myself.
Well, the thing that we
you.
love is
Yeah.
our culture is all about what it looks like, but we think that beauty's on the inside, and we
Yeah.
think you're amazing. Well, you look amazing as well, but you know, we love your story. We want to showcase your inner beauty. I mean, we just that's what real
Thank you
beauty
for
is, isn't
yeah.
it? It doesn't age, it
No.
can't get tarnished. It's what's inside. So that's
Yeah.
why you're a brilliant candidate.
And I think so many
Yeah.
people are diagnosed with breast cancer that it's. I've got 2 friends in 5 weeks that have been, my age, that have been re-diagnosed, and it's just, you know.
I was going
great.
to say that to you. Obviously, you've got to live with it every day. Is that, you know, do you think about that it coming back?
Yeah,
what's
all the
happening
time,
next
every day,
all the time? So
every
it has
day.
become something that now defines you, or is it something you kind of push in and out?
I go that's a tricky one, because I always said that I didn't want to be defined by cancer, but because I've put myself in the public eye and I am shouting from the rooftops about having cancer and what it's like to have breast cancer, I can't escape from that. And it's my life now, and I'm a completely different person to what I was. I mean, I am different. I've got a different perspective on life, and I like to think that I'm blessed, that I can be one of those lucky ones that can put life into perspective. And I've always said the whole way through my campaign that if someone could promise me that it wasn't going to come back, I would feel blessed that I'd had it, because I've done so much stuff that I would never have done beforehand. Unfortunately, with the type that I have, I don't Google, and I never ever tell people to Google this because it's horrendous. The statistics are awful. And I remember seeing on the Race for Life leaflets they give you, and it says something like 1 in 2 people listener. And I was like, that's a rubbish statistic, you don't want to put that on a form. But with mine, at the end of radiotherapy, I finished here, and I don't know why, but I came home and I Googled my prognosis, and it's shocking. It's not a good prognosis, but I'm learning that I have to feel like I've lived my life, and whether it comes back when I'm 80 or whether I'm 40, then I really want to feel like I've done something with my life and I've made a difference, and I think that's what's driving me forward, and I think that's, as long as I've got purpose and my kids are proud, you know.